As a scandal loomed in Ottawa, Roy MacGregor was at his cottage more than 3 hours away. He'd planned this holiday to put the finishing touches on a book about the Senators' first season. Instead, he spent the day answering the phone, reiterating what he claims Bruce Firestone told him after the June draft in Quebec City about the team's final game against Boston.
He mentioned that if necessary, Ottawa, this sounds crazy to say, but if Ottawa had been ahead, they would have pulled the goaltender at whatever time, even if it had been halfway through the second period, and played the rest of the game without a goaltender. And that was a backup plan. And we kind of blanched at that because it seemed like a little shocking. And then he went into this other discussion. He said, first of all, and I think this is crucial, he said, our biggest problems the last couple of months of the year was keeping the restraints on Rick Bowness. You know, Bowness so desperately wanted to win more games because he didn't want to have that road record hanging around his neck for the rest of his life. So he was fighting hard to win, as were players, from what I could always determine. He then said that he had met with four players had come to him, and they discussed the goals and 22 points, which was, of course, what was required to get them ahead of the Washington Capitals in 1974-75, which, as we all know, is the record for futility. They reached that on February 28th against Quebec, and from that point on, they felt their goal had been reached, and they would then concentrate on #1 draft pick.
MacGregor wanted to go with the story and make it public shortly after, but the Ottawa Citizen advised him to wait.
The first condition, they said, let's see if it is a real story. And if it's not a real story, because the instant reaction to hearing that was that, come on, this isn't true, this can't be true. So the next reaction was to determine whether or not it was true, and that would take some time. If you thought it wasn't true, then you have to decide, is it an irresponsible comment for a governor of an NHL team to make, which I believe it is.
As certain as he is of what Firestone said, MacGregor is also quite sure, after a lot of research, that none of it is true and that no Senators player deliberately tried to lose, which, if true, makes the comments of Firestone that much harder to understand.
Well, you asked me if I wondered that night why he would say it. And we're talking 2 months later. I wonder today why he would say it. Why would someone say that? Why would someone say it if it were true? Because, my God, you can't say that to 4 journalists and then have it all over the Senators organization as well and not expect it to get out. The Senators determined in July that this would come out no matter what. They couldn't possibly stop it from coming out.
In denying he made such comments, Firestone apparently suggested MacGregor's upcoming book is incentive for making up a story, an idea MacGregor finds ludicrous.
I knew it would be awkward, I knew it would be ugly, and I knew it would be uncomfortable whenever it came out. Those who might think that it came out only to sell a book might like to take a look at the bookshelves and discover there is no book, and there isn't going to be a book for a long time, and by the time the book comes out, this will all be forgotten, so there's no connection there. It came out because he resigned, and it came out because the word of what had been said was it was accelerating to the point where people were openly discussing it as an unnamed person.
Even if the story's forgotten, MacGregor's book will no doubt include it in a chapter more devastating than any other account of what the Senators did or didn't do on the ice. Rod Smith, TSN, Hillside, Ontario.